What was the relationship between the Central Committee of the CPSU and the Politburo? Have you ever wondered how decisions were made in the Soviet Union? The relationship between the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and the Politburo is key to understanding that. The Central Committee was the highest party organ between party congresses. It was responsible for setting broad policy directions and overseeing the implementation of party decisions. This body was elected by the Party Congress and included both full and candidate members. Its main role was to connect the party's mass membership with its top leadership, ensuring that directives were carried out across the Soviet Union. Now, within the Central Committee, real decision-making power was often found in smaller, specialized groups. The most significant of these was the Politburo. The Politburo was a standing subcommittee of the Central Committee, made up of the highest-ranking party and government officials. It served as the true center of power in the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, especially when the Central Committee and Party Congress were not in session. The Politburo made decisions on major political, economic, and social issues, and its resolutions held the force of law within the Soviet system. So, how did these two bodies interact? The Central Committee was the larger, more representative group that formally elected the Politburo. However, in practice, the Politburo was self-perpetuating and dominated by the party's top leaders. This included the General Secretary, who often acted as the de facto leader of the Soviet Union. While the Politburo's decisions were usually ratified by the Central Committee, the latter increasingly became a body that approved decisions made by the Politburo rather than initiating policy. This structure was meant to ensure collective leadership and democratic centralism. This meant that decisions made by higher bodies were binding on all lower levels. However, over time, especially under leaders like Joseph Stalin, the Politburo became the main source of power. The Central Committee acted more as a formal body that endorsed decisions made by the Politburo. This arrangement had real effects on the global influence of communism. The Politburo's dominance meant that Soviet policy, both at home and abroad, was shaped by a small group of top leaders. The Central Committee's role as a broader, more representative body was limited, but it remained important for maintaining party unity and symbolizing the party's mass base. In essence, the Central Committee was the formal top body of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union between Congresses, while the Politburo was the real center of power. The Politburo made most key decisions and shaped the direction of the Soviet state and its global communist influence. The relationship was hierarchical, with the Politburo leading and the Central Committee approving, reflecting the principles of democratic centralism as interpreted in Soviet practice.